You look awesome, girl.
All right, guys. So welcome all of you to another great episode. Um, so, with everything still going on, I feel like it's just been a crazy beginning of the year as we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So today, however, our topic is on healing and healing the soul and healing the brain, right? And also finding spiritual healing through traumatic events, right? Also believing in the power of believing. And what does that mean? What would that look like? So our guest today, her name is Mrs. Bridget. I apologize. Is Bridget Rudin, and she is someone I like to call, I say, a remarkable woman because she's been through so much. So she is a nurse practitioner. She also is a Reiki practitioner, as well as spiritual speaker, an author, and a traumatic brain injury survival. So she's here today to share her remarkable journey of what it took for her to go from learning how to use a microwave, right, as an adult, from her traumatic brain injury, and what it took for her to be where she is at today. Welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here today, Mrs. Ruden.
Thank you, Faith. I'm so honored that you have invited me here.
Excellent. I love that whenever before I mean with a guest, we get a bit of a chatting on, and we were able to talk a little bit. And when you first told me your story, Bridget, I was very much inspired just because what you went through with your brain injury. And man, I didn't even know that you had to start over, right? And almost like a rebirth for you to learn all these skills, life skills, speaking, talking, and just walking, all of those things. And so, but I really want to start from where everything started, right? Can you take us back to before the incident? Like, how was life like for you?
Well, I'm a mother of 3 children, so I was
Mm-hmm.
very busy. I also worked at the University of Iowa Hospital in actually neonatology. So I worked with patients
Oh,
and
wonderful.
obviously their families too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved being a nurse since I think I said it in 2nd grade that that's what I wanted to do. So that was my passion, is my family and helping others heal.
Wonderful. So at 2nd grade, well, everyone is trying to figure out, who's gonna be the best friends, right? And you're there figuring out what it is you wanted to do. You wanted to create a legacy of service, and that came for you. It was through nursing. So take us through the journey when you became a nurse. How was that like for you?
Well, I loved it. I was scared of getting through, passing all right and all that kind of stuff, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had incredible experiences. The ones that I'm most passionate about are children and their families and all they go through.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most powerful jobs is when I worked for the school system, and I was a healthcare provider for children without insurance. That kind of thing that just warmed my soul, because a lot of the parents were in jail or having other issues too. So the mother and the children then would come to me when they needed health care. So that just, oh, um, I loved. It filled my soul with such joy of something I can do for
Mm-hmm.
children that were so in need.
Wow. I mean, speaking of children and your passion for helping young children, it sounds like you also have a big family, right? You said it was 8 of you growing
I,
up?
yes, I'm the oldest of 8.
Wow. So you definitely have a bit of a preparation in a way before you got to being a parent yourself.
Yes, because I was second mom.
Wow. And so, I can definitely relate to that. Me too. I have a big family also. So, here you are working in the hospital, and you love what you're doing. You're working with all these kids, and and you're being that advocate for them, and trying to help them through everything they're going through. Like, so was there ever an experience in the hospital where you felt, man, I don't think I can continue doing this as a nurse?
Well, I went on then to graduate school and became a pediatric nurse practitioner,
Oh,
which,
okay.
oh my gosh, I was so grateful I have done that to provide more um, thorough health care for families that can't really afford it. That's a lot of who I worked with.
Hmm. That's awesome. So I know nurses, I mean, my hat up to them. It seems like a field it takes a lot of courage and a lot of heart to want to be in that service industry. Um, and with everything going on, with COVID, I know a lot of nurses, especially are on the front line right now, doing everything, giving everything they can to be there for our loved ones, right? The ones that we can't be next to when they're trying to, you know, ask for the help they need, or when they're taking the breath and they're trying to, seek help. They're there for them and being that advocate 24/7. Um, so for you being a nurse over all these years, you know, what is one thing you could say to the nurses out there that are still out there and trying to do the best?
Ah, I not even just nurses, but any healthcare professional.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
get goosebumps actually when angels are coming through. Just so you know, whoo! Um, I can't even begin to say what huge gratitude I have, what huge uh, love and appreciation for
Mm-hmm.
all that they do because of my disabilities. They wouldn't let me go back into nursing to be a part of this team,
Yes.
and that broke my heart. Just to feel like what what the heck can I do? But I can pray and I realize that that is still a part of giving, is
Mm-hmm.
praying for all these precious, precious.
Exactly. Yes, yes. It's being able to pray for them and praying that they will be safe and be able to continue doing what they're doing, to save lives and things like that. And so once everything, you said you had this injury that happened. How did it all happen? How did you um, experience that?
I was on a casual bike ride with a
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend in the morning, and several days before there had been lots of rain, and we were on a trail, and I don't remember this, which I'm very glad. We started to go down the trail, and at the bottom of the trail, I guess there was thick mud and water,
Mm.
and it tossed me 30 feet onto concrete. I had a helmet on, but I was in and out of consciousness and bleeding from my mouth and my nose, my ears. And thank God that, because we didn't have cell phones with us, and a woman that happened to be walking on that trail had a cell phone, and she was able to call them 911. And thank God they got me to the University of Iowa Hospital, or I wouldn't be alive. When the neurosurgeon first saw my CT, he looked at a friend of mine because I had actually worked with him before.
Mm-hmm.
He said, how did this accident happen? And she said, it was a bicycle accident. He goes, I have a hard time believing it because her CT demonstrates someone that was in a horrible car accident.
Wow. And this is all from this bike ride that you went on with your family. Wow.
And I had two surgeries that day because after the first one, it looked even worse.
Mm-hmm.
The swelling, the bleeding that went on in the brain. And so since I had 4 total brain surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
And because my skull was too bloody and full of bacteria, they couldn't use that to put back. I have a titanium plate. Woohoo!
Wow. It must have felt like. Hopefully you didn't feel any of it because were you in coma at that time? Yes, when they were operating, and man.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I didn't start to begin to wake up until they took me on an ambulance to go to another hospital for rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
Just did not get it. I was so confused. Where am I at? Laying here. What's this? What's just clueless. So it took me a while to even grasp what had happened.
Yeah, I can imagine. Since you already been through all this trauma and, you probably are not even present, you're not there. And so they're just trying to do everything they can to keep you awake and keep you alive. And how was it for your family at that time? Did they tell you how they were coping with all of this?
Well, not without support. Any
Mm-hmm.
suffering needs someone there for them. They were having a hard time. A lot of my friends really thought I was dying. And a lot of my colleagues as
Mm-hmm.
well. So they were grateful that I got well enough to be transferred to another hospital. But I had to relearn everything when I was truly awake. It's like I came from an adult body back into a toddler's body and had everything.
What a transition for you, man. Because you think of that makes me think of how, when you say you transition into from an adult body to a toddler. I have a 3-year-old, and right now she's at that stage where how that is when they're trying to figure out themselves and talking a little bit but not quite clear, and encouraging her to speak a little bit more, and teaching her a little bit at a time, to be able to have a grasp basic things. So when you went through all of this and you're not having to start over from fresh, you said not even knowing how to speak, and you were someone who you were an adult, you already knew all of this. So what was it that really helped you to kind of get you back on your feet, slowly, to be able to recover?
Well, my mom said she had, for starters, me on a prayer chain. And she said thousands on that prayer chain. And she believes, and I do too, the power of prayer. That's what got the whole thing going.
Yeah.
Then I had to do everything, relearn how to walk, how to read, how to write, even to understand from a cognitive perspective, what means what. My youngest was 8 years old, and she helped me with the word of an animal she loved, the horse. She helped me figure out how to use the microwave. So does that explain? Does that make sense? Or
yeah, it does. It does. When you're saying that, I'm just thinking about how your daughter, 8-year-old, and here she was teaching you everything you taught her. physically. So she was not the adult. I mean, she seems like somebody who is a great a great 8-year old that she was able to help you get you through that hard time, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt terrible about that for so many years. It's like, look what you did to your 8-year-old. But it's like, I sometimes cry. It's like, I didn't do this on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I and I have to look back at, yes, she was amazing, and look who she's become. She's finishing college, and she's in elementary education, and she's the most organized, guided, gifted child that really
Wow.
wonderful things have come from this. But I have to quit blaming myself,
Mm-hmm.
let it go, and see the powerful things that have happened in spite of it all.
Yes, that's a great way to think about life, really, for someone who's been through a traumatic injury like that, such as a brain injury, and plus having to go through all of that recovery to get to this point where you're able to, see that as a positive. There's a positive side into all of that, negative that happened. And man, your daughter, she sounds amazing. So she's not a teacher, and how is she doing with that? Being a teacher, she enjoys being a teacher.
Well, she will graduate um, next fall. And
Okay.
I guess she's kindergarten through 8th grade is, where she can choose
Mm-hmm.
be as an educational person. And she loves the kindergartners, and they just love her too.
Oh, that's wonderful. She seemed like somebody who's going to be very good. She's already built that, that caring and kindness through all the things she had to, do to help you as a mother. So she definitely be able to use those in her teaching, I'm sure. Wonderful. So right now, when you got through all of this, now you say you are doing an amazing job, really going all over the place and doing a wonderful job and sharing your story now and talking about reckon, healing, which is something I never heard actually before. And I'm super excited to hear more about what is reckon and how can you heal from that using that.
Well, there's so many things. Um, First, you have to believe.
Mm,
Believe in you. Believe that you are recovering. And especially with any survivors that have impacts from the brain, it's a baby steps, just baby steps.
mm,
And you need validation, even if it's you can spell one word the right way one day.
mm,
You need to be supported. Um, I, I mean, miracles came my way. I mean, I would call them angelic people
mm-hmm,
in my life too that guided me because I miss so much of what I did, being a mother that used to do 200%
mm,
to now hardly any and to take care of children and their families. And so many physicians and other healthcare professionals said, Bridget, you can't go back to your job. And
mm,
I look at them and say, what are you talking about? And they say, I can't stay awake a whole day. I have to sleep in the afternoons because of my damage to my brain. I can be awake about 5 hours. I've lost a lot of the cognitive knowledge. Am I saying the wrong words? I lost a lot
mm,
of my knowledge of how to truly provide health care.
mm-hmm.
I have such a huge memory loss. I blah, blah, blah. And I thought, now, wait a minute. And I'm the kind of person is, you give me this, but I can't
Mm,
show you I can do something. And
wow.
so in that amount of time with my um, personality, my just dove in.
Your drive. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I first started by going back and looking at all the charts that have been written about me in the hospital.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was me. But what I did then is I started to document on PowerPoint. Granted, it took me a while, and my husband had to help. And I even got to see the original CAT scans and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That I put into a PowerPoint presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And my first experience when I was still in therapy with speech therapists was I gave them my first presentation.
Wow.
And their mouths were all hanging, and the girls that were students that worked with me just sobbed. One had to run out of the room because they said, Bridget, we have never, ever seen anyone with such severe traumatic brain injury improve to the way you are. And I still kind of look back and say, what are you talking about? I'm not back to who I was. So I kept presenting, and I presented everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to, because in the presentations, I give people hope. I
Exactly.
also train healthcare professionals about what we really need.
Wonderful. Yeah.
What our advocates need.
Mm-hmm.
Them to support themselves in caring for someone suffering. So then I wasn't needed for presentations, so I thought, I'm gonna start writing a book. So,
Wow. So you went from not, not knowing how to speak at all anymore, or even writing, to not wanting to write books, not just books, but books.
and a person said to me, Bridget, start from birth forward to help my memory, and I did. So it was I've gotten so much wonderful feedback from my book because it shows where I was, who I was, et cetera, and how I improved. And the other part is how I take care of myself. I try to eat healthy. I exercise. I have learned like different things, the power of art therapy, the power of journaling, how you're feeling, even if it's a sentence.
Right.
Start writing down what you're feeling and how you feel that can improve. To be in support groups for people with epilepsy, as I have, to people with brain injury, for anybody suffering from anything. To find a connection with someone is so empowering that I felt like to be with others that are surviving from the same thing, that I'm not a crazy woman.
Yes, like you have that community of support. Yes.
And just my spirituality has enhanced like crazy.
Wow.
And those are the kinds of things I do, as well as I went back to school to become a Reiki practitioner. And to be able to do that for people, it's even from a distance. I don't have to be present with someone.
Wonderful.
Healing, it helps ease stress and tension. It supports the body in physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. So that's the other thing I'm here for. And I thank God when I give to someone, because it's a natural high for me when I provide Reiki or just get to talk to someone suffering.
Yes, help somebody.
Service others is just huge for me to do every day.
So do you feel like with all the, the journaling and just writing down your feelings, also using your story as a way to help another person who may be going through something similar, or know someone who had went through something like this, do you think all of that stuff helped you to on your healing journey? It kind of helps you also, and your spirituality as well, like you said, believing, you know, and that's actually something I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned earlier when we were talking, you said there is the belief, it says, you said, believe in the power of believing. And I felt, wow, that's something, it's so powerful. Like when you know, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Oh, for me to believe
Mm-hmm.
that I have truly come through this and shocked so many physicians and et cetera, to believe that through the grace of God, the angels, they're the ones that have brought me back to spirit. And because of this process, I have a higher spirituality that once I believe, I truly believe in the power of believing. And that's what's powerful, is that to give other people hope and let them see and feel and hear my process. Because when I give to others, boy, do things come back at me. Powerful things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So am I explaining that correctly?
No, it makes sense, of course. Believing it's such a powerful thing, you know, and it comes with faith, you know, having faith. And it seems like you definitely use that as your spirituality, to be able to grow and to also use that to bless other people. So when you do Reiki, I think I'm saying that right. Hopefully I am.
Reiki.
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 Reiki. So Reiki, is it like a form of therapy? Like what exactly does that look like?
That's the magical part of it.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's the secret sauce.
If someone were here, can you see what's behind me?
Yes, I can see a little bit of that.
Angels. You see that big angel? That's what I'm pointing to, is that they're here. They're with me. I put my hands on a person for each area of the body that needs help. I mean, it's our whole mind, body, and spirit are all the time. And I can feel when there's problems, situations, issues within the mind, the body. And I, of course, have God and the angels right there with me. I ask them to come through and provide the healing for where it needs to occur. And I just work on that, and I keep in touch with clients. And I'm so grateful that people have improved in things in so many ways, which you can view on my website. But the awesome thing is that we can do healing from distance, you know, and it's like just spreading love with incredible energy from God. Just give. And I also have awesome experiences with that. If people had time and wanted to talk to me more about it.
Wow. This is amazing. You definitely have such an inspirational story, and I'm so glad that you agreed to come on the show and share with all of our audience and everyone that's listening today. What really spoke to me so far, it's how can others be able to remain included? How can I believe in the power of believing and the power of having the ability to believe in a higher power, and having faith. It really is something I think that can really help push you through your healing process. I feel with anything in life really that you're experiencing. And so right now, how are you able, I know you say you're able to do the practice through video and things like that. So for our listeners who are wanting to learn a lot more about what it is that you do, how you bring hope through healing, how can people reach out to you?
Well, the easiest way would be my website.
Okay.
BridgetRudin.com, and it'll give much more information. It'll also show you the book that I wrote, if you wanted to get that, as well as set up appointments with me.
Okay.
The other thing, if people are interested in me giving a webinar or a talk somewhere to share my story, that's available. But there is coming up on March 6th, a webinar I'm doing that's international about the way to heal the brain. If people wanted to do that, they could also look at my website to register for that. I'd be so honored. So honored.
Awesome. So you have a lot, it sounds like you have a lot coming up there for you. You're a busy woman with everything you have going on. And, you know, I think that's amazing that you continue staying encouraged to continue the story and share with people. I think when we share a story, it makes such a difference into other people's lives, sometimes even more than our lives, because they really see the experience that you went through as a lesson, you know, and it just helps a lot of people. And thank you so much for, you know, being here with us today and sharing this message of hope and of healing and the power of believing in, you know, spiritual being. It could be anything, but just God and just everything else that you mentioned today. And having that belief can help you move forward in life. And is there anything else you wanted to share before we go?
Well, once, I care for you so very much, Faith, for inviting me. Secondly, I'm here for you as well as everyone that's listening. If you need me, I'm here. And now I'm sending you so much love and joy and many hugs.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. And yes, guys, so definitely look up her information on her website. And you can also find her on social media on Facebook as well, right? Okay. Excellent. We'll also leave that information for you guys to learn more of her in the show notes, so that way you can be able to stay connected. Thank you all for listening, and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Liftoff Voices, also on YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you guys get your podcasts. So we will be tuning in soon. I will be seeing you guys soon, and stay tuned. Thank you.